Hi, this is Tim. We're in west central Wisconsin. We're gonna show you how we tap trees. It's a family hobby that we do. We've been doing it for 6 years. First, you have to identify a tree. If you don't tap the right tree, you're not gonna get sap. We've got about 4 different kinds of trees in our woods. We have elm, maple, hickory, basswood, and a little bit of oak. An elm, they've got a fine bark. It doesn't protrude a lot, but it's just fine. The branches are different than a maple. They are small and they're all the way up the trunk. So this is a basswood. Their bark has got a lot of, I call them a V. They go each way like this. And if you drill into a basswood, it's real soft. So you'll know right away. These grow pretty straight. A lot of times they'll grow in clumps of 3, 4, 5. And they're also kind of a weed. They're good for certain types of lumber. The next tree we have is a cherry. It's got a bark that's a lot of shaggy pieces to it, I want to say. It's kind of coarser. It's not the tree you tap for maple syrup, but this is another tree we have. Here's a hickory tree. They have a real smooth bark. They grow pretty straight. They branch out towards the top. They make a canopy. Too many of these make too much canopy for the maple, so the maple don't warm up or come out as quick or produce as much. So here's a maple. This one's about 12 inches in diameter, which is where we would tap. Here's an old tap hole from last year. They'll grow shut as time goes on to where you won't see them. But they do leave a little bit of a dark stain inside in the wood, so that's why you want to move when you tap them. Bark similar to an elm. The branches are a lot different. You'll see that they branch out. They're beefier where they branch out compared to an elm that's a little bit more spindly. We want to have a 12-inch diameter before we tap them. When you get to a large maple that's a couple of feet across, then we'll put 2 taps in. So we're going to drill a hole in this tree today. We've got a drill with a 7/16 bit, and it has a piece of tape on here that we put 1.5 inches from the end. We want to drill a hole about 1.5 inches deep. This is just a visual guide for us. It's simple, cheap. I have a brush that I clean out the hole with, a hammer, and here are our spiles. This is the end that goes in. It's got a real small hole in the bottom, and we want our hole to go uphill into the tree just a little bit so it will drain. We want to stay about 2 feet high, maybe 3 feet, depending on your depths of snow. This year we don't have much snow. You don't want to drill a hole up here because when you get later in the season, you have to reach up and take the pail off the hook, and that's more work. And also when we use our tube and pail, it's a 30-inch tube, so obviously you only want to be about 30 inches above the pail, a little less than 30 inches above the pail as the season progresses and the snow melts. So here's how we drill. We want to go in with the drill and back out again, and we don't want to wiggle around if we can help it. You don't want to wiggle around. Here's the hole from last year, right here. We like to stay 6 inches away from that, diagonal, around, whichever way works. As you work your way around a tree, the tree gets older, you'll get back to these spots again, and if you happen to still see them, then you stay above them or below. So here's where we'll try and drill this year, about 6 inches away. So I've drilled the hole. We'll go into the brush. This isn't going to hurt anything, it's just to keep this cleaned out. Put your spile in. You don't want to drive this in too hard or it'll split the wood. And you can hear when the hammer, when it starts to kind of bounce, you'll feel that. Nail hangs on it like that. Quite simple. And the cord goes on and it just takes a little bit of a bend in it to snap it on. It's just friction fit. The other style that we use, we have some of these with a bucket that sits on the ground. It's a spile, but it's plastic. Connects to a tube. The sap runs down the tube into the bucket. And then we put a cover on this also. So that's how we do our tapping. Thanks for watching. Come back again. We're going to be going out and we'll do our trail maintenance, cleaning up the wood at the trail if there's anything that's fallen on the trails. And then we'll actually be tapping, and we'll go inside the syrup shack here and be setting up our equipment to get ready to boil, and then we'll be boiling. So in the next 2 months, we're going to be busy. Have a good day.